Okay, so let's focus on the early game, okay?
Okay.
Because that seems more prevalent.
Right here, I think I warded my blue just in case if Nidalee tried to invaded me. Um, and then I just go to get Oracle Lens and go to my red.
Yeah, so I hate that. Just so you know. uh,
What? Putting the ward down?
yes, putting a
Okay.
ward down and switching the red trinket. I hate it. I hate that I
Okay.
see people do that all the time. Just
Yeah, like I would say that recently I try to stick to just not buying the Oracle Lens and just sticking to the yellow trinket
yeah, and then
until I
place it
say
when
like
you need to. The
yeah,
the
okay.
issue with the reason why I hate it, besides the fact that the only reason you're doing it is because you see other people do it and you don't actually understand.
Yeah,
Like, there's actual like big brain reason to do that sometimes, but everyone does it every game right now, and it doesn't make any sense. But
gotcha.
and the reason why it doesn't make sense is once you have the skill developed to track the enemy jungle, you don't need the ward. The wards are completely useless.
Okay.
Like even in this game, watch. Mundo didn't leash, which means Nidalee started bottom, which means there's already an incredibly low chance that Nidalee started our blue buff.
Yeah,
We already know that just from looking at the game. So what was the point of the
gotcha.
ward?
Gotcha.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just paying attention to the map. That video on Olaf talks a lot about how to play from behind. I talk about that kind of stuff as
Yeah,
well.
I did see that. I didn't watch the video, but I did see that on one of the videos listed.
Okay, so you go buff the buff. So I want to answer your question. Your question is how do I decide which lane to focus on, right?
Yeah.
Hey Grace. So, I will say
I think
generally in the very beginning of the game,
uh-huh.
how do I say this? I do think about what lane is best to go to, but it's not the first thing I think about, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Like my goal going into the game isn't I need to get this lane ahead. My goal in the game going into the game is I want to beat the enemy jungler.
Yeah.
So I have a different order of operations. If that makes sense to you.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, no, that does make
and so
sense.
I don't go into the game thinking, okay, I want to get top ahead. I go into the game doing the initial jungle pathing drill, um, which we can go over if you'd like,
Okay.
where I decide which path am I gonna do to get ahead of the enemy jungler, and then whatever lane that lands me in, that's the lane I'm going to gank.
Okay.
Now I can still answer your question though because even within that, sometimes I'm gonna have the choice of which lane should I go for, right? If
Yeah.
if I can go for top or middle, then there's still a choice, right?
Gotcha.
And
Yeah, I think
so,
I
good.
sorry. I was gonna say I think in this game, like right before the game started, I told Singe that I was going for a level 3 gank. Um and I don't know if that's a bad thing to do, considering like how you say you prioritize like different things like to go against your jungle instead of
Here, let's do the
your
jungle pathing drill, okay?
okay.
Oops. All right, so this is what you're literally doing already, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So you already decided what you're gonna do. Now the issue with that is that you probably didn't do the drill beforehand. So now let's actually do the drill and see whether your path that you already predetermined makes any sense.
Okay.
So, which I, we can see whether your memory serves you well. I'm gonna go back. Sins versus Mundo. Where do you think the lane's gonna be when you gank? So
I think
when you
it's
come up and gank, where's it gonna be?
it's gonna be towards Windows Tower, I feel like.
So you think Sins will push Mundo?
Um it wouldn't be smart to, but I think it would probably be
Or do you think that's the most likely thing to happen?
yeah, I would think so because I feel like Mundo early game would want to sit back, use his cleaver.
Okay, that's fine. Middle.
Um
Galio versus Diana. Where do you think that lane will be?
I think it'd be pushed towards more Galio.
In bottom.
Who was bottom again? Bottom was Caitlyn, Cho'Gath, Ash. I would say be pushed more towards Ash, or like our side, just because Cho'Gath creates more pressure. I would think, but
Also, Caitlyn almost always pushes every lane.
yeah.
Okay, now we see all the lanes. Who do you think wins in the jungle? If you guys fight each other, like right here, who wins?
Me, I would say 100%.
Okay. So what path do you think Nidalee's most likely to do?
She's probably gonna start red down to bot, but she didn't,
It doesn't matter.
I think. Okay.
I I want to go off of your predictions first.
Okay.
So where do you think she'd do like this or this? Red buff, then what?
Uh, I think red buff into blue Gromp.
Okay. Now, what do you think she's gonna do after this Gromp? What's gonna happen after she kills the Gromp?
Wait, say that again? Sorry.
After she kills the Gromp, what happens?
She's probably gonna go for an early gank. And also Scuttle spawns around then as well.
Not yet. What time does Scuttle spawn?
Actually, 3:15. I think. Yeah,
Yes.
3:15.
Yeah, Nidalee's gonna do these three camps very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's also a problem with me too, because like I don't play that many champions, so I don't know like how the other champions work and how fast their clear is.
You don't have
Because
to
it's like
play
not
them to
something.
know that. You just have to review
Okay,
your replays, right? I'm sure you've played against Nidalee before, probably lots of times. But if you don't
gotcha,
actually gather information, you don't learn anything, right?
gotcha.
Because if you just listen to what you just said, look at the map. So based on your own predictions, these two lanes are pushed and this lane's pushed. But you're gonna gank the pushing lane, and you think she's gonna gank a pushing lane. That doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah,
You see the issue with predetermining
like
decisions.
yeah, definitely.
So even based on your own lane predictions, these ganks from both the ganks you talked about actually don't make sense.
Okay.
So that's probably not what's gonna happen. So what do you think? Let's start with her. I'm gonna erase your pathing.
Okay.
What do you think you should do, or what do you think she's gonna do after this? Cause a gank is unlikely if both the lanes are pushed, right?
She's probably gonna end up just full clearing. Then instead of
So this and then what? Let's see one more.
probably I'd say attack around that time would it be 3:15? I
Yeah,
feel like
crabs would be
yeah,
up around here.
should probably grab the bot scuttle,
Okay, let's stop here.
knowing yeah,
Because these are actions, right? So we're saying she's gonna do these 5 actions. And action just means like how much time. It's a designation of time. So she's gonna spend time here,
yeah,
here, 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 and then she's also gonna have to travel, or on the white lines, right? So all that is
yeah.
really trying to show you is time.
Okay.
Let's get to what you said. Let's see. I wanted to see whether this comment in the Twitch chat is relevant. If the lane is not gankable at the level 3 Gromp, just wolves after Gromp, then Scuttle. At that point, decide gank. Back for early items. Um, it's not quite that simple. Because you might, for example, you might try to win the lane or win the jungle through jungle efficiency, in which case clearing can be effective, and that's going to go a lot into invading, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So with you, you're on. All right. So let's say all everything that you see here is true, right? Let's
Mhm.
say you can literally see the future. So what? How do you beat her? If you know you can see the future and you know that's going to happen, there must be something you could do to win this situation, right?
Yeah. I would say I'd say if I could see the future, I'd redo my jungle pathing. Um, and maybe put me in a situation where we contest the scuttle, maybe. Just because I know I could probably beat her one on one from a volley in Italy. But then also, if I feel like their bot lane is putting pressure on my bot lane, I definitely wouldn't be able to contest that scuttle because then Kate and Cho'Gath would just so say like yeah from Kate and Cho'Gath would push up to the bottom scuttle if I tried to start from blue.
Wait. So the way you used to think about this is like, what is your objective? Because you immediately talked to the first goal that you said was stopping her from taking the bottom scuttle, right?
Yeah.
Is that the best objective to go for?
No, I would say this game I went for the top scuttle just because I felt like
Why
it'd
is
be
the
easier to.
scuttle the best possible option? Aren't there better aren't there better things that could happen in the beginning of the game than getting the scuttle crab?
That I'm not really sure, I guess. I watched a lot of like jungle videos and I see that they prioritize Scuttle a lot just for vision and stuff.
Okay, so
But
I definitely want you to throw that in the garbage.
okay,
The scuttle crab is really not that important.
okay,
It's just like your buffs are really not that important. That's like an old way of thinking because those things used to be more important, but they're not anymore. And
okay,
so people still think that way, but it doesn't actually make sense when you look at the math. Like the crab doesn't give you anything special. The buffs don't really give you that much special. And they're not really necessary for most champions in the game. The only reason why they ever become necessary is when people don't know how to clear the jungle efficiency or
hmm,
efficiently, and then they kind of need the regeneration.
gotcha.
But that's mainly a failure of clearing well, as opposed to your champion actually needs it. You know.
Okay.
So I mean, I think there's a simple one. What would be a nice thing to happen in the early game as a jungler?
Uh, take the enemy jungles camps.
Sure, I think that's better than the crab. What else?
Yeah. Um, getting a gank, I guess, would be a good,
Yeah,
and getting a
wouldn't
kill
getting
also.
the first blood gank be better than getting the
Yeah,
scuttle crab?
yeah. Which I can't remember this game honestly, but I feel like I did end up getting the
There are
first gank off.
there are
Like,
two things better than a gank. What would be
uh,
better than a gank?
hmm. You're talking about like early game, like
Yeah,
start of the game?
yeah. Grace knows.
Oof. I'm not really sure about that actually. I would figure that uh, gank and camps would be like my top two, but that's just my way of thinking, I guess.
So
Um,
wouldn't it be nice to just kill Nidalee? You said you beat her,
definitely,
so
yeah,
wouldn't killing her be pretty good?
yeah, definitely,
And then you know it's just as good, if not better, and it is better. You can kill Nidalee and a laner by counter ganking. So that would
okay,
be the best possible option.
yeah,
That makes sense. So
gotcha,
ideally we counter gank Nidalee, and then if we can't counter gank, then we can try to kill Nidalee. If we can't kill Nidalee, then we can try to get first blood, or we can try to deny a gank, or we can do both. And if you can't do any of those, then we start talking about jungle efficiency, which normally involves invading, like you mentioned.
okay,
So you see how you went directly to like denying a scuttle, which is like not even like a normal objective to even think about here.
yeah,
So let's go down the actual list, okay?
okay,
So we can't counter gank Nidalee in your prediction because she's not ganking, right?
yeah,
Now we can start thinking about whether we can kill Nidalee. So
and that would you think what would be better for me to do? Oh
well,
wait, is
can
there
you kill Nidalee is the question. I mean, I know you can normally, but based on these predictions, do you think you'll be able to kill Nidalee?
um
You kind
I
of
would
talked
say
about
based
this
on the
earlier.
prediction. Yeah, I would say based on the predictions, not just because if I did vertical jungling where I started on my red, then went to her blue, then maybe there is a slight chance that I catch her off guard, I kill her. But if the fight goes on longer than expected, then their bot lane can just rotate up and kill me.
Yeah, so that's a great way of saying that. That's exactly the variable you need to understand is time. If it goes on longer than expected. So a champion like Lee Sin, who's going to blow someone up very quickly, might be able to get
Yeah,
away with that play, right? But Volibear, it's going
yeah,
to take a little time, and also
yeah,
Nidalee is very slippery, and so
yeah,
the issue is if it's going to take a lot of time, a different quality or situation becomes more important, which is priority. And
okay,
if you're in their jungle and their lanes are pushed up, you're not getting help anytime soon, but she might, right?
yeah,
And so if we are playing a champion where it takes like a little while to kill someone, you have to start thinking about the lanes in that area very seriously, right? Because they're going to get there if your fight takes too long, right?
yeah.
And in this case, she has priority in both of those lanes. So unless you think you're going to kill this Nidalee within like
Like 15, 10 seconds.
very quickly, because even if it took 10 seconds,
I think yeah,
you're
that would
dying.
still
You're gonna
put me in a
die.
position.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
because
Even if I do get a kill,
you need to get to be able to get the
gold.
kill and get the hell like get out very like all the way out here before they get there, you know.
Yeah,
And so you need to kill it really within like 4-ish seconds, 4 to 5 seconds, and I don't think that's gonna be possible with her having flash. Of course, it can happen, but I don't really like coaching you guys to because in gold maybe they might not flash, blah blah blah. But I'd rather
Yeah,
teach you just how to play the game well than for you to do a decision I know is not correct because they're bad,
gotcha.
right? I'd rather you just learn how to play the game well. And
That makes
so
sense.
ultimately, what we're saying is we can't really kill her on this bottom side, at least not with our given information, right?
Yeah.
Which means we have to go down to the next thing, which is can we get a successful gank? So do you believe that ganking bottom or ganking middle would be successful? Which means killing them. It does not mean getting their flash. I only here's a good note for you. Don't gank unless you're killing them.
Gotcha. Um, I think so I guess I didn't think of it like when the game started. I put like a pre-planned like, which I normally don't do. I go by like the game state, like how my like laners are trading. Then I'll see like, okay, which lanes I can gank. But I felt like this game I try to put like a pre-planned notion because I know like Mundo will run his health low. Typically like, if he's not gonna be able to like kill his minions in time or whatever, he'll run pretty low on health, and then if he like tries to chase like Singed, um, that'll even just put his health even lower. And I feel like with the Volibear stuns, it definitely will. I would
The
be able to get
the
a
issue is
successful
that
gank up.
you're talking about the lane that the Mundo's gonna be under tower.
Yeah.
So this really shouldn't even be the first candidate that you think about. You should be thinking about the lanes where you think they're gonna be pushing. These lanes are
Okay.
just naturally gonna be easy to kill, right?
Yeah.
I will say like eventually as you become a more advanced jungler, you can actually start thinking about the early game tower dives. But
Mhm.
normally I like for you guys to stay with the basics before we get advanced.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, which lane do you think is more likely to end up with a kill, middle or bottom?
I would say middle.
Yeah, I think middle's pretty free. If you guys use your flash, then you should be able to kill her for sure. And so mid's pretty free. So our objective now could be to kill middle, right?
Mhm.
So we know where we want to end up. Now we have to think about how do we want to get there.
Okay.
Which way do you want to get there?
Um. Hmm. I would say. I would say blue or no, sorry, red. Uh, into wolves. Maybe that feel like that'd be too long. Probably just red, blue, Gromp, then into middle.
Okay.
And if I see Nidalee bot, I can either invade her jungle camps. If I see like, all right, she has this many uh, CS or
Well,
whatever.
again, for now, I want you to just believe everything that you see here is true.
Okay.
So if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, then she's at least gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. So you should expect she's in this area
Okay.
while you're ganking, right?
Yeah.
Which still should mean that if you think this gank will take a little bit of time, Nidalee's gonna have a chance to counter gank probably,
Come in.
right?
Yeah.
So do you think you'd win in a 2v2?
Uh.
You should have the first. You should be there first, but do you think you'd win if she came up?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think we would be able to win that honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. So
Just because if she's pushed up on our tower, then we have the ability to escape
you
better
should
then.
make Diana a useless champion by the time Nidalee gets there.
Yeah.
Even if she's still alive, Diana should be too low to really impact anything, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So our pathing here should enable us to get first blood while our opponent is still farming. That's a pretty
Yeah.
decent path, right?
Mhm.
Also, because we are expecting her to be in this area during our action, that means we can transition this into what we wanted to do, which is either fight her over here or at least push her
And
off the
have
crap.
mid lane. Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's going
Definitely.
to apply pressure through our middle. So now we have priority here, and we can even do a crab into deny her trying to do this crab. Because we'll have priority in both the lanes now.
Yeah.
Depending on how much health everyone loses from the mid gank, of course.
Mhm.
So you see how like, when we did the path in this way, using the information of predictions, we can come up with like, an idea that actually truly makes sense in an order that makes the most sense, right?
Yeah.
Now again, I am omitting some advanced tactics. Like there are probably different routes you could take.
Yeah.
Um, there's a few things that are more advanced, but again, it's not really that important because those advanced tactics aren't even necessary to out jungle the people at your rank. Like,
Okay.
not at all. So if you are using your brain to decide your path, you're already better than most people at your rank for sure. Like you're better than like 90% of people that play the game. Because most people aren't using their brain when they do the path. They're just kind of doing what they always do, right?
Yeah.
So I like all this. It actually makes sense. You're going for a gank that you believe will work. You're not allowing Nidalee to do anything proactive because all she's going to be able to do is farm based on our lane predictions, right?
Yeah.
And so this all looks good, and we can confirm this information the on leashes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play through the game, which we've already kind of done. So I hope you noticed that while we did the initial jungle path there, we also did decide which lane, right? We at some point
Yeah.
we actually had to decide whether we're gonna gank middle or bottom, right?
Yeah.
And so you see, like I eventually get to that step, but it's not my original step. I didn't come into this game saying I'm gonna get Galio ahead, right?
Yeah.
I just got to a point where I had to decide on which lane, and I went for whatever one was easier, where I had the highest chance of getting first blood. That just makes sense, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
I shouldn't be trying to force the top lane gank to work out. I shouldn't be trying to get the tank behind. I shouldn't be trying to get my tank top ahead.
Yeah.
I should be trying to get myself ahead. Because as an individual, we want to.
I'm going against other.
Well, yeah. So you are in a lane as well, right? You're playing the enemy jungle. Now, if you're in team play, if you're watching pro play, that's not normally how it works.
Yeah.
But in solo queue, you want as much on you as possible. You want to win the game because the
Yeah.
elo system is trying to force your games to be 50% win ratios, right? They're trying to get you
Yeah.
guys to have even players that mess up the same amount, that do good plays the same amount. And so, if you rely on your teammates, just using math, you're naturally going to be in a 50% win ratio kind of game. Because if you're not a heavy impact player, you're letting the elo system or the MMR system make the game 50-50. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so if you want to push your team out of a 50-50 ratio, you need to start applying a lot of impact into your game and kind of prove to the system, I'm better than these players.
Yeah. Okay.
I like saying that because I think it gives you a better mentality of your objective isn't to get your teammates ahead. Your objective is to carry the game and have as much impact as possible. Which doesn't necessarily mean you need to be building, you need to be playing Master Yi and going full tank or full AD, right? It
Yeah.
just means you need to have a high amount of impact. What could be pinging what your teammates should do and doing the right plays and just leading the team, right?
Yeah.
It could be split pushing. It could be um, telling people in the back when they need to back. It could be leadership, or it could be you playing your archetype, or it might be you helping other people play their archetype correctly, right? There's different ways of having that high impact.
Okay.
Okay, again, if we go through here, Mundo shows starts becoming unlikely that Nidalee started top in our
Yeah.
prediction, right?
Yeah. She definitely started blue. Blue leash.
And so what that would mean in reality is that we would have to do this drill again in the middle of the game. Like while we're walking over here, or maybe even before that, the moment you knew that it was likely that she started bottom, you would need to do the drill again. Now,
Okay.
thankfully, a lot of that is already going to be done for you because you've already thought about all the lanes, right?
Yeah.
And now you even already have this marked for her. So it's not as if you have to do the entire drill over again. You already have all this information. You even know where you started. You just have
Yeah.
to fill in the blanks now. Do you think she'd do the opposite of what she did before?
Yeah. I would say so. But
And then which lane is it likely for her to gank if she's over here now?
uh,
Could,
it would be likely that she goes for top lane.
okay. If we counter gank top lane? Do we win the 2v2?
Yeah. Definitely. I think.
Okay. That seems like a play, right?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to make you go fast. That's why I didn't wait for you to say the other thing, because
Gotcha.
this is the skill you have to develop. Make
Yeah.
a general plan, and when you get new information, adjust that plan as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Which should be easier or easier in terms of how many things you have to think of, because a lot of the information is going to be already predetermined, things that we already talked about before, right?
Yeah. So would you say if like so in this case I thought that Nidalee was going to gank top or she was at least going to try to contest top scuttle. Would you recommend me not going through the river and just going through like how you drew to go towards the tower?
Oh, so yeah, I guess I did that without thinking. it would depend on how likely you believe it is that she would gank top. And it
Okay.
also depends on time, remember? So if you think
Yeah.
Nidalee's a faster jungler than you, and you think you're gonna walk this way, and then you're gonna see each other right here,
Hmm.
and then you're gonna walk back into your jungle, and she's gonna walk back into her jungle, then that's bad. I want to kill her, so I'd rather
Yeah.
not give her the chance to see me in the river.
Okay.
So which direction you go is completely dependent on how confident you are they're
That
gonna
you're gonna
gank
get
that
top.
lane, and how quickly do you think you can get in this bush? Because you need to get in this bush before she sees you.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you're playing Nidalee and they're playing a Moo, then you're definitely going to get in the bush first, right?
Yeah.
So, what that comes down to is, do you think your actions are faster than her actions? Do you clear faster than Nidalee? And if you do, is it significant enough that you can get in this bush before she would see you?
Yeah. Well, according to what I think her pathing is, I think she would probably clear faster than me.
Can you get in this bush before her or no?
Without her seeing me, I don't think so.
Okay, then I'm going this way.
Okay.
And then I'm encouraging my top laner to be a monkey and just push really, really hard to really encourage Nidalee to gank him.
Yeah.
And then I strike. That just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean, Grace? The 12-2 or 12-1? I don't know what you mean. I'm just gonna check something really fast.
Okay.
I'm just seeing if you clear efficiently, which you don't. You're gonna have to learn that.
Okay.
I guess you didn't do it that poorly, but you should have full HP.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah, I
now
think that's a lot of damage from the red. That's why.
yeah, 'cause you didn't kite the camp correctly, which is not
Okay.
that hard of a thing to do. You just have to learn the technique. I talk about it
Okay.
in that Olaf video. Okay, so you have water walking, I guess. Yeah. So you see how you're going in this direction.
Yeah.
So again, if she would actually coming
She was
top,
right there.
she would have
Yeah.
seen you, and then instead of having the opportunity of ganking or counter ganking her, now she just goes back to her jungle, and then what are you gonna do? You gonna run into her jungle? Like, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would have
Okay.
rather you walk around. Now, in this case, she wouldn't have been here, right? And after
Yeah.
a certain amount of time had passed, where I mean, what normally would happen in reality is that you'd walk in this bush, you tell this person to push like a monkey, and you'd walk up into these bushes. And if she doesn't show up, then it becomes likely that she's not here. And then you wait for this wave to bounce, and then you guys just gank the Mundo with a lane gank. That's normally what happens. If the counter gank doesn't happen, you normally just end up staying here for a lane gank,
Okay.
which I know is not like a common tech or a tactic.
Yeah.
Until I mean, I don't like people do it a little bit in Diamond, and then it's used a lot more above Diamond. But it's a very good tactic. It's just not something that's very common because other people don't do it, and if other people don't do it, you guys don't copy them, right? And so it's
Yeah.
just not something that's very popular
Okay.
until you reach a little bit of higher rank. Now, if you still have the same predictions, when I was going for this gank and I don't see Nidalee right now, then I'm starting to think Nidalee didn't do the path I predicted, right?
Yeah.
Like now I'm thinking she either is doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ganking top, or she did something completely different, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I think she did these four, then I now know I could just wait in this bush. Or that should be
And
a
just
O.
wait for her. Okay.
Exactly. Because that just means she's gonna be one action late, and I can just wait for her,
Yeah.
right? Um, whereas
No,
if
I mean,
if I believe she did like some other completely different thing, then I have to
yeah.
decide whatever I think is the best. In that case, it's probably some kind of invade or ganking top if you think it would work, right?
So what would you think? I mean, I guess in the situation that you see right now, what do you think her pathing was?
I just told you. I think
Okay.
she either did the wolves
Uh-huh.
or and so I think she's doing this. I think this is the most likely. If I was playing at rank, this is probably the most likely
Okay.
thing that she's doing right now. That or maybe even entirely full clearing. Again, you would have to learn what your meta is at your rank by watching your replays.
Okay.
Because the meta at my rank is gonna be different than your rank, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And
Okay.
so there's only really two options. She's either doing some kind of full clear, or she did 1, 2, 3, but I'm not sure why she would ever do that. So I would say it's very likely she's doing a multiple clear on the way top.
Gotcha.
So I'd probably wait in this bush, unless I thought this
Okay.
top lane gank was free. The biggest, what's the word? If you want like the biggest flex play, it would be for you to go over here and then leave a ward here, so that if you see her, you can back off and counter gank.
Ah, okay.
This would be the most flex where you kind of cover both options. Because like say you go here and then she shows
That's
like
where
somewhere
me
else.
keeping that yellow ward would come in handy.
Yes, exactly. This is why I always talk about I hate when people waste that first word, because a lot of the times that first word, oh my god, I can't say any words. That first ward um, is really really useful,
Okay.
and I hate when people waste it because it's pivotal. Like if you watch my replays, you're sort of seeing like I use that first word, and it's so important when I use it. You know. Okay. All right. So now at 2:45. Also, by the way, if you were worried about Nidalee ganking at all, like counter ganking at all, and that was any threat at all, you would always want to have that ward to put behind you, so that when you go for this gank, you guys can see whether you force her to react to yourself,
Okay.
so you can see her coming. And that's another really useful time to use that ward. I always call this the ward, like quote unquote.
The ward.
Yeah. So like anytime you're gonna do an action, you ward past the action. Like if you want to
Okay.
gank here, you ward past there.
Okay.
If I want to gank mid, I ward over here or over here. And so, because you always want to see like how people react to your movement, you know?
Gotcha. Okay.
Because people always react to movement. That's why the game is not as hard as it seems. Because most people do all the same kind of patterns. Like, oh, if you were pushing bottom, they'll send people bottom. If you
Yeah.
gank middle, their jungle is gonna start running middle. If someone's pushed up, they're gonna get ganked. It's really not the most complex thing, but
Yeah.
it should be. Because technically there are a ton of options. But most people just do the same thing everyone else does, and so it's really easy to beat them. Because you can predict them so far ahead in the future, which is what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're deciding that you're going to go for the top lane gank, and you believe it will work. Again, I would never want you to actually go for this gank unless you thought this guy was going to die. I don't care if he flashes. I want him to die. Let's watch your sequencing. So you start with an immediate Q and an immediate E. In which case, right now, if he flashes, if he takes the hit and then flashes, you guys have no additional CC besides flashing at him,
Yeah.
which is not the best sequencing. I'm not sure if you want to talk about sequencing, but the correct order, because right now, especially if
If
Nidalee
he
was
didn't
here,
have
he could.
flash, then that would be, I guess the option to go. But I guess
If he didn't have flash,
the best.
this would be a good option. You would want to use the
Yeah.
E a little bit closer to him so that he would have
Okay.
no chance of dodging because he would be stunned.
Okay.
Because in this situation, you and the Singe have already used both your CCs.
Yeah.
And so you guys might still kill him, but if after he gets stunned, he walks right here and then flashes this wall, you're going to have to use your flash to kill him. Whereas I don't think that was actually necessary. If you
Yeah.
look at the situation, if you just walked at him, and let's say he never flashed, so you just walk at him, and you and Sin just start beating him up, he's going to die before he gets away, right?
Yeah.
And so what you do is you walk really close to him, and then after he flashes, you use your Q to catch up to him. That way you don't have to waste your flash. I heard some background noise. You still there?
Yeah. No, my bad. My brother walked into the room.
Okay, did you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, did you hear what I said?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very common. Like let's say you were Elise. You wouldn't use your cocoon now. You just start beating his ass up, and then after you flash, you throw your cocoon.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're playing, what's the other champion you're gonna be playing? At the jungle?
Mundo.
Mundo. Okay, so Mundo is a little bit different because his cooldown is so short. It doesn't really matter. Um, but even with Mundo, you technically could do the same thing where you just don't throw your Q until after they flash, and then you Q and slow them.
Okay.
Again, unless you needed that damage to even be a threat. If you're already a threat without the ability, then don't use the ability. That's a simple way of putting it.
Gotcha.
I think this is a great example. Had Nidalee been walking this way, this guy dies, right?
Yeah.
But if you had a ward here, and he could see that Nidalee was coming, he might have flashed this direction. So
Okay.
you might have saved his life by placing the ward.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, and you guys decided to do an immediate back. So,
Yeah, I
again,
figured,
based on the
if Nidalee was
prediction,
there.
you're kind of... I think backing here, it's okay. Because you're low mana, and I normally... Or low health, and I normally suggest backing when you have enough gold to buy something significant, which is almost always... This is a good note, by the way. Between
Okay.
900 and 1200 gold, you should be backing.
Okay.
If you're above 1200, you're trolling. 99% of the time. Alright, so here's the real important concept that Grace mentioned a little bit earlier. The hunter versus the hunted. Who's the hunter?
I would say I'm the hunter.
Okay, so your job isn't to pick which lane should you gank. Your job is to decide where's Nidalee going to be and how do I make her hate her life. Because we want to win our matchup. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So you don't leave your base thinking about who are you going to gank to give them pressure and make the lane easier. No. We think about where do we go to stop Nidalee from having any chance of being a factor in this game. Where's the most likely place for Nidalee to be if she started bottom and hasn't
Top,
ganked bottom or middle? Yeah, she's probably top.
top side.
And with the Scuttle Scrap spawning, where's the most likely place for her to go?
The scuttle.
Yes. And so I'm running directly to the top Scuttle. Probably not in the direction you're running there, though. I probably would have ran in the faster this direction.
Okay.
Shouldn't you use your Q? Or no?
Yeah, I should have probably.
Yeah, you should be using your Q to get to on the map faster. Okay, so again, I would have been actually pretty close to this action over here because I would be farther than you, and so I'd be around here right now because I would have used my Q.
Okay.
In which case, I can maybe try to go in this direction. I can call Persistence Teleport. By the way, this is a pivotal thing when it comes to information. Anytime you get new information, you have to make new decisions, right? And so if Nidalee comes from the bottom side of the jungle, as we saw, and then we can see that she has the buffs. We start thinking about like what has she done, right? Oh no, are you doing this? You're not even reacting?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't like that you're not reacting to the situation. Because if either these guys are both so low that if either of them makes a mistake, you can punish them really hard, right?
Yeah.
So why not go like chill in a bush and see if they make a mistake?
Okay.
Like your archetype, this goes into archetype actually. You're not an assassin, but guess what? To these people you are.
Yeah.
Given their health, and you having blue smite and backing and being strong already, you're an assassin to them, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you have a different archetype. And so your job becomes to do what assassins do. What do assassins do? They wait for people and they blow their ass up, right?
Yeah.
And so your job right now is actually go see if they made a mistake to give you a kill.
Okay. Which, yeah, I mean, they got really low. I guess I should have pathed towards. Their,
Yeah, and so there's multiple reasons why you might make the mistake. I can't really tell with watching a replay. Like you might not even be looking at the fight. You might not even know that they're low HP.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So if
think
you don't
at
have
the
the
time I didn't
information, you don't
realize
know.
Yeah, I think at the time I didn't realize that Diana was such a low HP, and so I felt like I was gonna go for the top scuttle, and then Nidalee either already got the bottom scuttle, and I didn't wanna. I could have pushed Nidalee and had like a nice scrimmage in the water or in the river.
Yeah, you
But
could
then
have
I
for
risked
sure.
the chance. But then I risked the chance of like the bottom coming, but it probably would have been easier for me just to fight her in the river because I already have full health and she has like almost less than half the health,
Yeah.
and I probably would have finished that fight pretty quickly.
So all this comes down to information.
Yeah.
If you see me do my live coaching, the issue with live coaching is that you guys, when you play, you gather so much less information than I do when I play. Like when I'm playing,
Yeah.
I'm seeing what health did they have. what buffs did she have? What's the timer on the buffs? How much
Okay.
CS did she take? And then I'm thinking, okay, if I go run through middle and go fight her down here, what's the health over here? What's the mana over here? Oh, I have a low HP Ashe and she's low mana. That's not very good.
Yeah.
Do I have teleport on my team? I do have teleport on my team. Like I'm literally thinking about all this.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to gather as much information as possible. Because I find if I believe that if you guys had the same information as I did, you would make good decisions. The issue is you guys normally play without actually gathering very much information. I think the
Yeah.
live lesson earlier on stream today, and that player never ever pressed tab. So I never knew who was strong in the game because he never even looked at who had the most kills, who had the most, what items did they have.
Yeah.
And so the information gathering would make you make the decision. If you knew that you were an assassin to these mid people, I believe you would actually try to go for the kill. If you knew that your Ashe had no mana and half HP, I don't think you would try to go for a scuttle crab fight in the bottom river.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about the number one first thing you need to improve on is your ability to gather information.
Okay.
And just as an aside, that's like the number one thing getting good at any video game or probably anything is gathering information for you to make, or at least in games where there's not full information, right? In games
Yeah.
like chess, you already have all the information; it's all right there, right? But in poker, in League, in Hearthstone, you have to gather as much information as possible because it's not all given to you. You have to. I mean, there is a lot given to you that you're probably not using. Like this is given to you; it's on the map. They're showing you, right?
Yeah.
Um, the meta of where people are going to be in the jungle, that information is given to you if you gather it. That makes sense?
Yeah. Definitely.
Whereas if you just play the game, you don't really check where people normally are. If you don't ever evaluate why a lane didn't go the way it went, the information is being presented, but you're not actually gathering it. And so you don't improve.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty big missed opportunity, I want to say. So
I think I go for top again because he burned his flash. So I'm thinking try to get this guy. I'm not sure if I don't can't remember if it ended up working out.
yeah, so this
Oh
is
yeah, it was rewarded.
this is what I would call a low effort gank
Okay.
because your gank path gave no credence to the fact that they could be warded. Like you didn't care if it was warded. Of course, this guy has wards. He gets 2 for free, right?
Yeah.
And so your pathing should reflect the possibility that it could be warded, right? If you just go, I just call this lazy ganks because there was a way. Basically, you should have just assumed it's warded in the first place. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you assume it's warded? You might as well.
Mhm.
Don't you even have sweeper? Could have even tried to do something fancy. There's like fancy things you can do here, but the least fancy way of me explaining this is that if you just walk this way, there's almost no chance he saw you on a ward,
Okay.
right? Yes, it was gonna take you a little bit more time, probably like 7 more seconds to get in position. However, in the case where you walk into a ward and then you sit here and you just waste time, and he's a good player and he stays up, so you think you can kill him, and then you start going, and then he immediately starts walking back. You're gonna waste way more than 7 seconds, and you're gonna give
Yeah.
his whole team the information that you're top. That's worth way more than 7 seconds of going around, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now that's not really the whole story when it comes to high effort ganks. Like for example, you could just assume. Let's say you just assume this is warded, okay?
Oh.
If you assume it's warded, then especially well, you'd have to assume this is not warded.
Yeah.
Let's say this was pink warded for us. And we assume that this one's warded, right?
Yeah.
In that case, you could walk around, and then whenever you think it's time to go, you start turning the corner, you use your sweeper, and you use your Q, so that he has only like a frame, like a few frames to even notice that you're there, because
Okay.
it will deactivate this. He'll see you for like a moment, but then it'll go away. And that's like kind of that's what I'm talking about. This is the reason I actually use sweeper. Is if you plan on doing like high effort ganks like this.
Yeah.
But again, that's a little bit more advanced than just walking around,
Yeah.
which most people don't even do this.
Makes sense.
But this is what I mean by the meta is given to you. Like if you watch your replays and you pay attention, like guess what? People use their wards to, to not get ganked. If you play the game
Yeah.
as if people don't use their wards, you're crazy. That doesn't make sense. Like, of course they use their wards.
Yeah.
You should play as if they are warding.
Okay.
The same way you should play as if Nidalee is there. Play based on the worst case scenario and outplay that. Because then if they're bad, you beat them anyway. And if they're good, you beat them anyway. So there's no reason not to just play as if they're playing well.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, Volibear is one of the better champions at doing this. Because any champion that has enough movement speed that they can run through the ward, like Rammus and Skarner and blah blah blah, they normally can do these high effort ganks by just blitzing through the ward.
Yeah.
Other champions might need to use the sweeper, like we're talking about with you, or bad champions are going to have to use the long method.
Yeah.
But every one of those methods is better than just pretending that people don't use wards.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are you going to decide to go? So
I think I
remember, it's hunter versus hunted. That's like the main priority that should be in your mind.
Okay.
We want to go to where Nidalee is, right? So long as you believe you're the hunter.
Bad habit of trying to like avoid their jungle.
Well, of course you want to fight them, or you want to avoid them whenever you're weaker than them, right?
Yeah.
But that has to change the moment you become the hunter, right?
I think right now I was trying to find her because she went for my.
Yeah, but that's a lot of wasted time, though, right?
Yeah.
And you know what that's based off of? You showing yourself on this ward top. So you remember exactly what I said. The 7-second here is worth a lot more than now you showed this. And now you wasted 7 seconds just doing what you just did, and you lost the camp. So don't do low effort ganks.
Gotcha.
They cost you, man. They cost you. If they don't cost you immediately, they cost you later. Also, just FYI, I wouldn't have even killed the pink ward. I just don't think it's worth my time. Early in jungle, my time is precious, dude. That's why I'm not wasting that kind of time. Like, I'm not killing wards. I'm not doing low effort ganks. Everything I do, I'm doing with the purpose of it, like working and killing them. I don't want to do anything that's a waste of time.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm not hitting that plan either. Like, if it doesn't help me immediately, if it doesn't gain me gold or help me snowball the game, I'm not doing it. I would just let my teammate do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I tried to sneak dragon here because I figured she was just gonna travel up to her top side.
sure.
And it just, I don't know. Sometimes I like to do this with Volibear, like when I
A
do
lot
my
of
first back.
lower ranked players like doing this.
Yeah.
The issue is
I've started to learn that first dragon's really not as important as I once thought
not
it
not
was.
for the next 10 minutes. It's not important.
Yeah.
For the next like 15 minutes, it's like whatever. You're getting 25 gold for killing this with the time commitment and the risk that you're putting into it. And eventually, this dragon's gonna be worth like 1,500, 2,000 gold. At the very moment when you kill this, it's worth like maybe a couple hundred, maybe.
Okay.
So if I have any better option than taking forever to kill this dragon, if I can go do two other things I think are more important, like for example, if I think because let's use your same prediction. You believe she's going to the top.
Go
So
hunt her.
I back, I run top, I counter gank. Right?
Yeah.
And so again, I could use the same idea, but I value the dragon and really just how much time it takes to kill the dragon and how long it takes for the dragon to scale. I don't value the dragon as highly as you're doing it here. And again, that's also going to be meta dependent. If your gains on average are 20, like my gains on average when I was playing last season or earlier this season, were on average I think 22 or 23 minutes. The dragon's not worth shit. If you play games and your average gain is 40 minutes, then how much do you value the dragon? It's going to be a little bit higher than me. Again, our meta is going to be different, right?
Yeah.
But generally, games were decided much before that time. And
Okay.
this dragon is not actually gonna give you
Affect anything. Okay.
not for the next not really not for the next 10 minutes, that's for sure. And doing this is one action, but it's really more than one action, right? It takes more than it would take you to do a camp. So you're
Yeah.
spending like two actions. You're taking a very big risk. You're enabling Nidalee to go get a successful gank on your teammate. That's going to give her like
Yeah,
you
because
make
right then and there, she knows that
exactly.
top is easy. Top
Yep.
is free.
Yeah, it's just information, man. See? Also, this is so risky. Like, if you did the
Yeah.
dragon and she knows you're at the dragon, what if she's just sitting in this bush right now?
True.
You should have just bathed right in here. It
Okay.
was way too risky to walk out. Also, shouldn't you be backing? Yeah. With half mana, half health, and the risk of running into, and it looks like you're trying to run into it. You're like running at their jungle. So you're super duper committed that she stopped. But again, you want to play around the worst case scenario, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I want to see if this happens. I think it's a perfect example of what we were talking about.
Yeah, because
You got
me
200.
getting that dragon.
You got
Oh, sorry.
250-ish gold for your team, so 50 gold on average, right?
Yeah.
They got 450 gold right now, immediately, right there, boom. So, yeah, in 15 minutes, maybe that dragon is now worth the same as this top gank. But
Yeah.
until that time, if Mundo or Nidalee finishes an item and now they're stronger and that kill, it's a butterfly effect, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And
That makes more sense.
whereas the dragon scale, immediate gold is a butterfly effect. If instead of them getting 450 gold, I'm including the assist gold here. Instead of them getting 450 gold on the top side, and you getting maybe 50 gold as an individual, if you
Yeah.
instead counter gank, so they here we can do the math here. So they went plus 450. I'm doing this in a very simple way. It's more complicated than this, but whatever.
Okay.
So they went positive 200 in this play, right?
Yeah.
If instead you counter gank top, which means they don't get the 450 gold. You also
No, there's plus.
you also don't get your 250. But if you counter gank and you get 2 kills, you also get 600,
True.
right?
And then I get 0.
And not to mention like you're probably gonna get a tower play at least, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna tower play.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna get the wave. It's 120. And so instead of going I should have wrote this a little bit differently. Instead of them going positive 200, which means you went negative 200, you'd go like positive whatever, like whatever. I can pull
Yeah.
out a calculator, but the point is you'd actually go positive, and you'd go positive at this very moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's even more than that because you already know how champions, especially like Nidalee and Mundo, both can get out of control, and you're denying them the chance of get to that point. You're denying opportunity, which is kind of
Yeah.
my objective. Like that's the way I try to teach. That's my style of kung fu. My League of Legends kung fu is don't even give your opponent the chance. Stop them from even impacting the game in the first place. Because the moment you allow them to make their own plays, then it's not even really relying on you. Because yeah, you could be good, but what if they're good too? And then it's completely reliant on whoever you guys are ganking, which is not even in your hands.
So I'm thinking, me reassessing that, the better option would be to path towards my top side and then go towards the tower, hide in one of those bushes, and possibly wait for
Well,
a counter.
you would have to back in this scenario. You almost never
Yeah,
want to go
back.
from the bottom
Yeah.
side to top.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah, back and then go from top side jungle into
Yeah, I would have liked that a lot better than just doing the dragon for sure. But a part of that should be to warn your top lane. If you knew Nidalee's top side and you know your top lane is pushing, how come I don't see you spam pinging? Nidalee is alive. Danger, danger. Like, if you know that information, why aren't you transmitting it to your teammates?
Okay.
Right? Like, if you know it, share it. This goes into what I was saying before. Like, you can hard carry as an individual, or you could carry through leadership, through information. A lot of this lesson is just information. It's all about
Yeah.
gathering information, sharing information.
Would you say that me even taking that, like, say if I were to ping, wait, did I don't think I did ping it.
No, you don't.
Yeah, yeah. So say if like I told Singe, um, I mean, even though we just decided that getting that dragon is worthless,
Well, it's not worthless,
um,
but I
I mean,
I
yeah,
hear you.
but
You're saying
would you say
if you can try to deny the gank by
pinging
with
him and
pings,
still getting the dragon, or would you say just fuck the dragon and just go to
I would say that would
straight?
make the play significantly better.
Yeah.
Um, the issue is whether I still think that's the best play. Like, let's see. I I think the mid gank is pretty likely to work.
Okay.
Um, I think in a moment here, my galley is gonna hit 6, and then we get 4-man bottom. Now it is. I think this is a good example because both your camps are gone, so there really is not that much to do. The only
Yeah.
I think I'm I think I'm doing every other play before the dragon. I'm prioritizing like going for mid. My mid laner has flash. He can flash, then taunt, and then I can go in. I'm prioritizing going bottom and getting a lantern from my thresh and going in,
Okay.
especially because I know Nili's not here, so I have more people on the bottom side, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm probably prioritizing the mid or bottom gank before the
Okay.
dragon for sure. Yeah, like definitely. Because if either of these things work, we get the dragon anyway, right?
True. Very true.
And so I just get the immediate gold and that gold anyway.
Okay.
That's a concept called snowballing. Whenever you go create or you have tempo, you use that tempo to go kill someone, which gives you more tempo.
Yeah.
So instead of
Tap out to take
alleviating,
objectives.
yeah, instead of alleviating your tempo immediately by doing an end point like doing the dragon or backing, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, you instead
Me
use your tempo to
basically
go.
doing that was to
Yeah,
help them because it was a useless play. Like now that I think about it, like yeah, that created so much more information for the Nidalee compared to what information I had.
yes. If it's all valid information, you're getting it.
Makes more sense. Yeah.
All right, our lesson. We were kind of all over the place, but I think this is a pretty good general intro
To
lesson.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can
Definitely.
start getting into the teeth of things, especially because you can go watch those other VoDs and you can start deciding, like, learn from those as
Yeah.
much as you can, and then you can come with me with more specific questions.